Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Get early access to all of our interviews, including the monthly Chichester chats with writer and comic book legend D.G. Chichester, new episodes of classic Capes and Lunatics shows, including The Quantum Zone, This, That, or the Third, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capes-and-lunatics. Hope to see you there.
Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's an electric mullet. Someone's choking on iced tea. Anyway, welcome back to another episode of Electric Mullet. I am Phil. Joining me, as always, Superman's number one fan. It is
Tyler Patrick. That's right.
Tyler Olson.
Just changed my name too. And this is my son, James Olson Patrick.
Well, you should make some fan video instead of Superman and Jimmy. It should be like James Cole and yourself.
Yeah. I'll start introducing him. And this is my co-host, the Jimmy Olsen to my Superman.
Oh! I thought you were going to be Jimmy Olsen. I was going to say, I'll send you a t-shirt that says James Cole's pal.
I'll throw him off. He'll be like, what? And then I'll just be like, James Cole's pal. And Tyler Patrick. We won't tell him that's what we're going to do. That's why I introduce him on our next episode.
Nice. All right, kids. So this time we're back to 3 issues. We got Action Comics 647, Superman 38, and Adventures of Superman 461. A little more going on this time than last time.
Yep. This was a very interesting read.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting right now, like this week, because it's like, you're getting like the story's going from one issue to the next, the 3 books that month, but it's kind of like Action's doing its own thing with Brainiac, Adventures is doing its own thing with the Eradicator.
Yeah.
And the Superman book seems to be the, Jimmy hates Superman books right now. So
yeah, it does. Holy cow. Man, it's just I was like, look what Superman did to me. I'm like, wow, Jimmy, it's not like he directly did this to you.
Exactly. You've never made a mistake, Jimmy?
No, Jimmy doesn't make mistakes ever.
All right. So should we jump into these?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Which one are we doing first?
Action Comics 647. All right. All right. Action Comics 647 from November 1989. Brain Drain. Writer Roger Stern, penciler George Perez and Kerry Gamble, inker Brett Breeding, colors Glenn Whitmore, letterer Bill Oakley, and editors Mike Carlin and Jonathan Peterson. Hold on. I didn't put the cover up. Because again, these are all decent covers, but yeah, especially here we got there's our cover. Yeah, yep. Again, George Perez, you got to put it up. Superman finally remembers Brainiac was the one responsible for attacking him when he was Gangbuster and decides to investigate his connection with Lex Luthor. Meanwhile, Real Docs manipulates Dr. Happerson to cause a robot factory Luthor was visiting to go berserk and hopefully kill him. Superman interferes and stops the robots from killing Luthor, but Brainiac's plans are far from over, as he now has the entire personnel in the facility under his psychic control with the helping hand of his new associate, Metallo. So yes, kids, you thought Luthor and Brainiac were bad. Now it's Brainiac and Metallo.
I'm going back to the beginning here. This issue, the way it starts, where Superman can't sleep. And you have like him having this nightmare.
Well, he's finally remembering the last little things from that he couldn't remember from being Gangbuster. So now he remembers Brainiac's alive. And I guess they they just nod to it real quick, but it's kind of like, oh yeah, those few times Brainiac was like trying to get into his head and bring out his dark side is kind of what pushed caused the whole Gangbuster thing to happen.
Yeah. And I found it very fascinating because he says, where is it, like Luthor talks about Brainiac is somehow tied in with Luthor.
Yeah, because again, when he was Gangbuster and he broke in on them and Luthor brought up Brainiac, he didn't remember that as Superman until now. Because the last thing he remembered as Superman is Brainiac. Well, Brainiac faked his death, but he thought Brainiac basically burned himself to death. So yeah, all those memories are coming back, and we see Brainiac is basically his mind's wandering that facility where Luthor has him. But
yeah, it's kind of interesting because he's kind of like astral projecting.
Yep.
And then when he takes over, the Doctor was pretty cool. It's like he beams himself into him.
Yeah, you'd almost think, why does he have to stay with Milton Fine's body? Because he's like an alien intelligence. Well, I guess maybe because Milton finds mental powers, but I'm like, why didn't he just take another human body? But
yeah, it's also interesting how we see him like stuck in the chair thing. And he's like moving objects. Like, couldn't he free himself? And
well, I think his body is weak. Like his mind's working fine, but his body's weak because he's been drugged and hasn't moved in like months. Remember, I don't think he hasn't moved since before Superman left Earth. So
it's true.
Yeah, like I think the body's weak, but yeah, his mind's the only thing that's strong right now.
We have Superman battling all these robots that keep coming out of nowhere, keep coming at him.
Oh yeah, because he was looking for Lex because he wanted to question Lex about his connection to Brainiac, and he hears all the flunkies in Metropolis say, "Oh, Lex is in Houston."
Of course he is. That's where.
That's
right.
Plant. Yeah,
that's where I think Lex is, wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, yes, overseeing his factory or his munitions factory. But yeah, and then it all starts attacking him because again, Brainiac mentally controls Happerson. Then he said, shut down all LexCorp communications, and then get that whole factory to try to kill Luthor. So yeah, Superman has to actually dive in and save Lex. And isn't it interesting? Lex thinks he's like, did Superman set this whole thing up to put me in his debt? And he's like, no. He's like, he wouldn't put these other people in danger. But isn't it funny? Lex is like, oh, Superman might put me in danger, but he wouldn't put these others. So I'm like, okay, paranoid.
It is funny because Lex thinks that high of himself.
Well, Lex also can't foresee anyone being that good.
Oh, I know. That's Lex's biggest thing, right? Is he can't see, like you said, anyone being that good.
But to do something for not for themselves, where they don't get a reward or something. And I love when they ship Metallo to Brainiac. He's still in a crate. He's like talking from inside the crate.
The Metallo was cool. Like I don't know if it's because I just missed something or when I was reading it, then all of a sudden, like he's like at the end, like Metallo. I was like, oh, snap.
Well, remember they said, didn't they say they shipped him from, was it Kansas or whatever? And I was like, yeah, I remember from that Doom Patrol, because since we started this, he's only shown up twice. He showed up, in the beginning in Superman #1, and then he showed up in that Doom Patrol crossover. That's it.
Yeah.
So he really hasn't been overexposed here. Which after Superman 1, you'd think Lex would have tried to use him a lot more, but no.
You would think.
I think he basically just wanted his technology and that hunk of kryptonite he had in his chest. That's it.
But I mean, I like at the end where, we have there's that last page with Metallo standing there next to Brainiac, which is so interesting because it's two characters that are pretty prominent in Superman lore
Mm-hmm.
that aren't that like recognizable right here.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
like Brainiac and Metallo, they need to use them more in live action. Again, it's always Lex or it's either Lex Zod and Doomsday. It's like
I feel like Metallo is a very simple villain that could be done, and we haven't got that, and I don't know why.
mm-hmm.
We haven't got him that much. I guess he's been kind of like in every live action show in some way, but I don't know. There's not been like that version like that's Metallo where we're like super pumped. Like it's Metallo. We're just like, okay.
Yeah, they kind of like downplay him when it's usually like a one trick pony there, yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel like we could get it. We need a really good version of Metallo.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. That's what I'm saying. They really need to, really bring him into a live action movie with or without Brainiac. Surprised we haven't done Brainiac again. You use the big skull ship. I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff.
I mean, did you watch Krypton?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How cool was Brainiac on Krypton?
Yeah.
He was amazing, right?
And again, there's so many different ways you can go with them. So many different looks you could give them.
And yet, we haven't.
I know. You could do the old, he's taking over a human body. You can have him as the green skin guy. You can have him in that robot body, like right before Crisis, all that stuff.
So, I don't know. I'm with you. I would like Superman to go up against an amazing Brainiac compared to it being his grandpa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how do you feel? It's like sometimes, especially like on the animated series where like Brainiac has to be, and again, like you said, Krypton. Does Brainiac need a connection to Krypton or no?
I think the only connection I actually really like for Brainiac is that he came to Krypton. They fought him off. The whole like caused Kandor to be bottled, which helped rupture the planet, and the Supergirl trauma.
Yeah. Like he doesn't need to be a creation of Krypton. He just needs to show up, grab Kandor. Yeah.
I mean, I struggle even with the Kalu and him having like a more organic base sometimes because I like him
robotic or artificial intelligence. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's always my big problem when they try to tie everything to Krypton. It's like
it makes the world feel small.
Yeah, and like I mean, I guess it's canon now in most iterations, but like Doomsday was created on Krypton or by a Kryptonian. I'm just like,
I will say,
he was created by some alien scientist, and
my friend Anthony on the podcast Digging for Kryptonite recently did an interview for his, I think it was his 100th episode, or special with Mike Carlin, and then one with Dan Jurgens. And I highly recommend listening to it just because of that conversation about the whole creation of Doomsday. So,
you know what? I was just talking to Lilith recently. I want to get Dan Jurgens back on someday. Maybe, talk a whole bunch of Superman, but we were doing some early Booster Gold. I was like, I want to talk about Booster Gold too, because that's the character created. So
I want to talk to him about like the Lois and Clark miniseries more and writing John Kent and So, yeah, I want to talk to him about that kind of stuff.
If not before, maybe we should hassle when we do Death of Superman.
Yeah, I mean, that would be kind of neat. And I want to try to, if we did, try to find the different angles. Like, did I tell you I told you my Death of Superman like anniversary pitch idea that I'd love to see them do.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, this issue was good.
Mm-hmm.
It was busy, but like if I were to just look at this, not knowledge, nothing in this says to me Metallo and Brainiac just from this image. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah,
just there.
yeah.
So
All
but
right.
yeah.
All right. Ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. So we're gonna go to Superman 38. All right. So there's the cover. And again, weird weather all over the world. Which we'll address that in the last issue tonight. All right. So yep, we jump to Superman Volume 2, number 38. From December 1989, Unnatural Disasters. Writer and penciler Jerry Ordway, inker Dennis Jank, colorist Glenn Whitmore, letterer John Costanza, and editors Mike Harlan and Jonathan Peterson. Superman is searching for Brainiac. See, he's still going, and tracks him to the Farnham and Beatty Circus in Wisconsin, where he first met him. There he finds an imposter posing as Brainiac when suddenly an earthquake hits the place. Meanwhile, Jimmy Olsen, who escaped from Project Cadmus, visits Emil Hamilton and asks for his help regarding his alien mutation. Jimmy's experiments at Cadmus caused him to go bald, but Hamilton discovered they repaired his DNA. Suddenly, Jimmy starts to hear a voice in his mind, and a thunderstorm hits the building, charging the ISO chamber with an electrical charge, and the boy disappears from the lab. The storm brought a tidal wave that floods Metropolis, and Superman tries to save as many people as he can from this disaster. And it doesn't even say, yes, Jimmy trades places with Husk, which we kind of talked about last time, I think. So, yeah, Superman goes to the carnival and finds, some guy's just trying to pretend to be Brainiac. Superman's like, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, so the whole Jimmy Olsen, like you said, this book has become Jimmy Olsen hates Superman. Superman has directly done everything possible to Jimmy Olsen. That opening, Professor Hamilton. But yeah, the carnival, and then Professor Hamilton vacuuming. And he says batteries to power, turbines to speed.
Mm-hmm.
I know you had to love that.
Oh yeah, he's got that big ass industrial vacuum. But the whole Jimmy thing, did that give you pre-crisis Lex vibes? Because he's like, Superman made me bald.
Yeah. Excuse me.
I mean, it's not like he's even bald forever because Hamilton examines him and he's just like, in a couple weeks your hair will grow back.
I don't like, man, Jimmy, the way they've changed him. Just, I don't know, this, something about reading this, Jimmy and Emil Hamilton right now, they both seem very angry and agitated and hateful. And Jimmy just blames every issue he has on Superman.
I know. But then, he switches places with Husk from it, and who comes from another dimension. So I wonder who's going to want to help bring him back.
So,
so Jimmy disappears, and then Hamilton calls the Daily Planet looking for Clark Kent to get him in touch with Superman, but nope, he's not there. But Colin Thornton's still sitting there waiting for Clark.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
The whole stuff at the circus.
Oh yeah.
But then I had to like read this a couple times where Emil puts Jimmy like in the thing about where he's like, oh, your DNA's been repaired. He's like, don't you hear that voice? What are you talking about, Jimmy? You can't hear him, Professor? And then boom, he like disappears. And then Emil calls the Daily Planet and no, I'm sorry. He's on assignment. I'm not important. I'll give him the message. You know, it's just kind of like then Jimmy's now Husk.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, come on. And the rains.
Well, Jimmy's not Husk, but he's switched places with him.
Okay, is that what happened?
Yeah. Because they
Okay.
they switch places. Yeah, so that's why I said Jimmy's in another dimension now, and I said, oh, I wonder he's gonna want to help save him now, huh?
All right. I read it as I thought they changed like
Yeah, nah.
oh joy. Poor Jimmy. He'll probably blame this on Superman.
Probably.
He'll be like, you did this to me.
But then yeah, Metropolis gets hit by this giant tidal wave.
The tidal wave was interesting.
Yeah. But I love Hamilton's like he's like, what, you can't stop and then take a couple minutes to find out what happened to Jimmy? No, there's a couple million people underwater.
I know.
Because yeah, that's the thing that get me with Hamilton. I'm just like, yeah, you know, Jimmy's important, but he's one person. And they gotta track him down anyway. Because yeah, that's basically how the issue ends. Is he has Superman doing cleanup in this flood, basically rescuing people from the flood, and he even poured everyone's cars out. Tell all these people, how are we gonna get our cars off this roof?
He's like, I'll be back. He's like, and then you know, Emil Hamilton's like gets blowhorns yelling at him, and he's like, I'll be back, you know, Professor Hamilton, and it's like, I must talk to you, and he's like, at the end, now excuse me while I get back to work. He said, that issue I think went by faster than the others.
What, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because again, I mean, look at how much Superman's doing. He went to look for Brainiac. He went to the carnival or whatever, the circus. You know, then the whole stuff with Jimmy, and then you know, Superman has to rush back and take care of this, you know, flooding.
Mm-hmm.
Modern comics could never.
Yeah, for real.
But I mean, I guess maybe Jerry Ordway or somebody's like, because again, once again, we're back to Carnival, and it's like, oh yeah, look, they're still mistreating the animals. It's like, oh, okay, that's depressing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So what you think? I mean, this is probably I mean, it's still good, but it's probably my least favorite out of the three.
Yeah, I'm just getting tired of Jimmy.
Yeah. Maybe he'll lighten up after taking a trip here.
Maybe, but he'll probably, like I said, he'll come back and he'll blame it all on Superman. Superman did it to him.
Of course. All right. You want to get to the last one?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Adventures of Superman 461. Cover.
This one has an interesting thing in it. I was wanted to discuss with you.
Oh, it's got a few interesting things in here. Yeah. All right.
Oops.
All right. So Adventures of Superman 461 from December 1989. Home. Writer and penciler Dan Jurgens, inker George Perez, colors Glenn Whitmore, letterer Albert de Guzman, and editors Mike Carlin and Jonathan Peterson. Superman realizes the Eradicator is the cause for all the unnatural disasters hitting around the world, so he flies to Antarctica determined to destroy the device once and for all. Brute force is useless against the Eradicator, so Superman flies through the dimensional gateway in the fortress, arriving at some sort of phantom zone where he meets a holographic manifestation of Kal-El, his ancestor. Kal-El explains he needs to fulfill a rite of passage to gain control of the Eradicator. He enters another vortex and arrives at Krypton the day of its destruction, where he encounters his parents, and Jor-El helps him go through the rite of passage. Kal-El is pulled back through the vortex and crashes on Earth's fortress. Still wearing the ceremonial headband, Superman asks the Eradicator to stop. When Superman opens his eyes, the fortress is restored and the Eradicator no longer active and the weather back to normal. All right.
All right. So I like how this one kind of picks up where the other one left off, where he's still working on the flood. So that was really nice connective tissue.
And I like how it wasn't just like a random giant tidal wave. It was because of the Eradicator. Yeah.
And then, you know, we got Clark in this green suit, and we have our little thing with, you know, what's her name here?
Oh, is it Alice? Yeah.
Yeah, but I say it's Alice, but then I was like, wait, yeah, it's Alice. I froze. You know, and we're about to learn something secret about her in the next issue because she don't want no one in the storeroom. But man, you know, Clark gets this job offer, and Lois pops in and talks to him about it. Like, you know, and Clark talks about how he was going to be a journalist always first before being Superman. And then this, like I said, this is where he goes to talk to Emil, and Emil is like really on edge about everything that he's done. And they're talking about the Eradicator and talking about the Kryptonian relic, and
Superman's like, "What are you talking about?"
And that's when I'm like, "What is going on?" And then, you know, Emil's giving him crap for Jimmy missing, but then when he talks about the Eradicator messing with his mind, I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right, this is making more sense." Like, why
because remember last time at the end of the Adventures issue, you're like, "Yeah, it's just like you know." Everything just seemed, you know, Superman was like, "Oh, everything's all right." Yeah, because the Eradicator wiped his memory. Yeah.
Because we both were like, "Wait, what happened here? That doesn't feel right." But the whole, like, his whole new fortress, how it's in Antarctica, like underground, is pretty cool.
Oh yeah. But yeah,
my thing that I was going to point out is like his ancestor is Kim L.
Yes.
With the letter L.
Yeah, not
right. Which is what they did pre-crisis. But then later when he says Kal-El, it's Kal-El. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
I'm trying to remember. Was there something where like after a certain point they added the E? I don't know.
It was post-crisis. Is when the EL, if I remember.
Yeah,
right.
I thought there was like a story or something where in a certain age of Krypton, by the time they got to a certain point, they just added the E. I don't know.
Maybe, but I thought it was. All right, well, we'll find out.
But yeah, I know pre-crisis, yeah, they were doing that. Yeah, because Earth 2 Superman was just the L.
So, but I thought that was interesting.
Oh yeah. And yeah, the whole tidal wave was because, the Eradicator was melting the ice in the Antarctic, so sea levels were rising and all kinds of fun stuff.
But I found that whole thing interesting, but I don't mind. I thought it was neat that there's more than one kind of Eradicator. Like, an Eradicator is tied to a family. And like this one, he has to prove himself, but like he goes basically back in time to right after his rocket ship leaves. And I cannot take the way they write Lara.
Oh yeah, Sarah, yeah, because she's like, oh, he's a barbarian. Because
his hair and everything.
Yeah, because they're very sterile at this point. They don't come out of those suits and stuff. Yeah.
She says, "You're so hideous to me. Your hair, your body. I wish it was different and I could stand." And I'm just like, man, I don't like that. It's not like he's just his hair on top of his head. You know what I'm saying? Like,
not only the fortress, but we finally reintroduced the Phantom Zone here.
Yeah. I like. There's a lot going on in this because when he comes out, he believes that he passed the trials.
Well,
For
yeah, yeah, he does this whole mental thing, and it's like his basically his logical side and his barbarian side basically in battle,
and he has to be, recognized as Kryptonian and accepted, and then goes back and basically tells the Eradicator what to do. And when he goes back, like the fortress is done, and there's the statues of his parents. And then he flies out, and there's the scientists.
because they have no memory of this since they've been taken over by the Eradicator.
My first thought when the way they were talking was like, did he time travel backwards?
Oh yeah, no.
Came out and or or something. I was like, I'm like,
No, because the Eradicator just messed with their memories. Because again, he at one point Superman comes out and he's talking to him. He's speaking he speaks a line in Kryptonian.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because the medicine the Eradicator must be done. It can't be anything else.
Dun dun dun.
You know what? I was almost thinking that I mean this is supposed to be the one we're doing now. This is supposed to be the last episode for December. I was almost saying we should try to squeeze one more in because did you see the next issue of Adventures is the Christmas issue?
Yeah, I did. I was like, oh, so my brain said to me, oh, so we'll get to read that in December. But then my logic was
we'll
like,
read it in December, but it would go up in January unless we try to squeeze it.
we should just squeeze it in. We should just drop it. We should just drop it. Be like, booyah, special.
If you're up for it, let's do it.
I'm always up for it.
All right.
Okay. So, I think this was my favorite of them. I think
it was. Yeah, I mean, it was good, and again, it introduces so many like classic elements: the fortress, the Phantom Zone. Him meeting his parents because that never happens.
Yeah, it's so many classic things finally reintroduced to where we are now.
Mm-hmm. And I like George Perez's inks on Dan Jurgens' pencils.
I agree. I love that Dan Jurgens has his own style, but yet still adapts. So like as as we go through, he adapts his style and everything more and more.
And again, Jerry Ordway is a good artist, but again, we got two issues with George Perez this time. I mean, that's always good. So yeah, I mean, again, I love that. Look at that fortress, and they got that battle suit, which will come into play a few times. One time coming up here soon, but even like the return, during the reign of the Superman, when Superman comes back, that battle suit's going to come into play.
Yeah, I mean, what year are we at now?
80. Well, we're at the end of 89 here, so.
Yep, I'm about to say it'll be here before we know it.
That's right.
I'm like, oh, we're here already at the death. Wow, here we are. What if we just told everyone like we're gonna skip the death and just like
yeah, but how much would we skip? Would we skip just the death, or I mean,
no, we couldn't skip it because like I think it'd be because I feel like every time I've read it, it's always we go to it. So
and again, it's like that leads into Funeral for a Friend. That leads into like a year reign of the Supermen. So
that's gonna be interesting. I mean, I've read all of them. But I haven't read a lot leading up to, before a lot of the death stuff.
There's some interesting stuff there, yeah.
So that's why I'm excited.
Heck yeah.
It's been a fun, interesting journey.
I know we always complain about this, but does your DC app do that where it's like sometimes it'll like repeat itself? Like you'll read a couple pages in, then it like kind of like starts over and
Yep. And it does it more on if I'm reading it from like from the web page.
okay. I'm on the app on my iPad. Okay.
The app doesn't do it as much as the web page.
Oh man, I don't read on the web. It doesn't work. Damn.
Yeah, I because I've done it before. I've been on my laptop and stuff and just pulled it up.
But yeah, DC better work on that.
I wish, like, I know how you can go in and you can pick like a run or something like the triangle error, and it'll list all the books and you can go through. But then it's like when you finish, I wish if I pick triangle error, right, and I'm reading, it takes me to the next book in the triangle error instead of automatically loading the next book in whatever series it is. So you always have to kind of back out and go back in. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, I know. All right. So anything else on these?
Nope.
All right. So, well, kids, you're in for a treat because again, you're only going to get 2 episodes this month of December, but you're going to get 3 now.
Yep.
Because yes. All right. So next time we're going to cover part 2 of the Brainiac trilogy there, Superman 39, and then Adventures of Superman 462, which is a Christmas issue. So, which I can time pretty close to Christmas there. So, all right. So send us your thoughts on those, and then of course, first episode of January. Of course, we'll wrap up that Brainiac stuff and kind of get ready for Rise of the Krypton Man coming soon. All right, so too many windows open. All right, kids. So yes, 2 screens ain't enough, kids. All right, so yes, so send us your thoughts. Email us capesandlunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember, you can find all things Capes Lunatics, episodes, social media, merchandise. Get your brand new Capes Lunatics merch, the classic Capes Lunatics merch, and of course, deadlier than any of the menaces we mentioned tonight. Lilith Hellfire demands that you rain random money on us through the Cash App link.
Make it
She does.
She does. And of course, the Patreon, where me and the aforementioned Menace give you exclusive content, completely uncensored every month. And if you are a patron, you can suggest topics for us to discuss. So subscribe and tell us what to do. So find the Patreon at patreon.com/capesandlunatics and find everything at tubespace.io/Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network. That's tubespace.io/Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network.
more vicious and brutal than ever.
All right. And now, again, you're getting another an extra bonus episode this month. But if that's not enough Superman for you, Tyler, where can they find you talking more Superman with that force of nature, Mr. James Cole?
Mr. James Cole, my buddy, my partner, my pal, and I can be found over on the Krypton Report podcast, where all podcasts are on YouTube, Facebook, everywhere on social media. Just look for the Krypton Report.
And just kids, please, if you send in any feedback to Krypton Report, emails, or if you're on the Facebook or whatever while they're live, please call him Mr. James Cole. Please do that for me. Be like, oh, I love the show with Tyler and Mr. James Cole.
James sometimes gets the longest introductions of all time.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, again, the legends are true. I mean, how can you not?
It is true. The legend of the Cole.
All right, everyone. I love James Cole. All right, kids. Thank you for joining us. Again, you get one more. You get a bonus episode this month. We had to do it. It's Christmas. There's a Christmas issue there. And we'll find out what's going on in that storeroom. I think that's this Christmas story. What's going on in that story?
Mm-hmm.
Alice. So we got more Brainiac, and maybe we'll get more Jimmy in the next issue of Superman. Hopefully, he's changed that.
More Jimmy complaining.
Well, maybe now that he needs Superman's help, he'll be a little nicer. All right, kids, and remember, watch that Superman and Lois, and then me, Tyler, and Will can do an episode once we get to the finale. But join us next time for Truth, Justice, and the Mullet.
Yeah, mullet time.